Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Duxbury Planning Board meeting, March 9th. We're starting at 6:02. We'll go ahead. We've got a few items on the agenda tonight. The first up is administrative items. We do have a couple different things, so I'll go ahead and put vote for them, but let's just pull them apart. The first will be minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Oh, wait, yeah, but let's back up. Jen is on, we need to go ahead and have somebody read.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Yep, would you like to do that, Patty?
Oh, sure, oh, yeah. That's good.
Pursuant to chapter 2, the acts of 2023 as amended as March 28th, 2025. The meeting will be conducted in person and as a courtesy by remote means in accordance with applicable law. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public and board members, the meeting or hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless required by law. Members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so using the Zoom login information on the agenda. Viewers can also visit https://thelocalscene.media/Duxbury for information about Duxbury programming.
Thank you very much. All right, now we'll get back to the meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from February 9th?
It's so moved.
And second? Okay. Any discussion? Any edits?
I actually did have one point on the minutes here. We had talked about, or the minutes reflect that we had moved the hearing for 161. Let's see which is right. 161 Widow Street, the ADU. That we moved them to February 23rd. Chris, we didn't have a meeting on February 23rd. Do we need to continue to a future date? Since we continued to date certain.
So do we leave? So you're asking, do we leave the minutes as they are because that's the way she wrote it?
Actually, it's more of a conclusion that we draw from the minutes. So that's the only question that I had about them. But the minutes themselves, I think, are fine. Yes.
Okay. So the question then, I'm sorry.
Sure. So we had continued the hearing on 161 161 Witter Street to February 23rd, but we didn't have the hearing on February 23rd. So it's been continued now to a date that no longer exists. So we need to continue it now to another date certain.
Well, so it's been today. We're actually going to have we'll continue. We'll go ahead and essentially continue it today.
Yes. Okay.
We'll have if there's anybody from the public who would like to say anything, we'll hear from them. We need 2 minutes each, and then we need to make a recommendation tonight so that we can pass it on to the select board.
I think he's referring to 161 Winter Street.
Oh, Winter Street.
Winter Street, yes.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, yes. So I'm sorry. So that that has been moved to March 23rd.
We did move to March 23rd. Okay.
And we moved Wadsworth as well to March 23rd.
Okay.
As well.
Yep. Thank you.
Right.
That was my failing memory.
So
Thank
many
you.
public hearings.
I hear it. Yep. No other comments.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay. Hearing no other comments, we'll go ahead and call for a roll call vote, starting with Jen.
Jen Turcott, aye.
Matthew Ray, aye.
Professor Wright, aye. Kristen Rapp, aye.
Steve Gant, aye.
And the motion passes. Thank you. Next up, we have the ZBA case 2026-1 for Trout Farm in Winter Street. Do we have anybody here for that case? Hey, how are you? So this is, we are typically just a referral body in this case. It sounds like the group is looking for the ZBA to approve some signs in your community, correct?
It was just for the permit for the front sign?
Yes. Yes, and so it comes before us typically so that we can refer it on to the ZBA, and you already have a hearing scheduled with them. So is there any comments from the board that you'd like to share with the applicant? All right, would we like to refer this over to the ZBA? Any comments? Without comment?
I'm supportive of it. And very pleased. It looks very good in being in the neighborhood.
We're really excited because we haven't had anything. I guess Lauren used to live there. We haven't had anything that represents our community. And somebody took the time to create that logo. And all we have had is we've had it on paper. And I'm on the sign committee with Gary Stanton, who is a graphic design, and actually he is he teaches at Stonehill. And we couldn't replicate it, so he did it by hand. So we feel that it's going to be beautiful. And you can only see the green town sign if you're going west. So this is going to be two-sided, and we're doing a lot to Trout Farm to try to spruce things up. But I do have one question. We also had in there, and Jim in the building department asked me to include it because he didn't know if it needed any special permitting. That as you enter Trout Farm on the left, a small kiosk with a map of Trout Farm, because it's so hard to navigate in there. And that map will go to the police, the fire, the EMTs, and you can pull up to it and see our loops are going to be color coded now. So he didn't know. He didn't think it needed to be permitted, just the sign.
That's it.
I think it's Jim's decision, I think. At this point, I mean, it's his decision to kind of tell you advise you what to apply for. And I don't think the planning board or me would kind of like, would go back and say to you, oh, you actually need this after all. Especially for something like a sign, which is not exactly a earth-shaking sort of major land use thing from our point of view. Yeah.
I would follow his lead in the lead of the CBA.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
sure. So would we like to defer this with approval with a recommendation to approve it?
So
Motion.
Yes, he moved.
yours sounded like a motion, so I moved it.
Okay. We have a second. Second. All right, so we'll go ahead and vote, starting with Jen to defer this with approval to the ZBA.
Jen Turcott, aye. That's gonna look great.
Matthew Ray, aye.
Lawrence, aye. Kristen Raff, aye.
Steve can't, I.
Jack Carpenter, aye.
All right, well, thank you. Motion
Thank
passes.
you
Good luck.
very much.
You're
And
welcome.
we're hoping to have all of the signs up by no later than mid and April, so you can drive by and take a look.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate it. All right, does anybody have anything for planning board administrator?
I mean, I guess the only thing is just what I wrote on my report there, that I'm planning to take a week off in May.
Right.
And I guess if I have a great vacation, maybe I'll never come back. It'll only be for a week.
I hope it's good, not great then.
Exactly, yeah.
That sounds good to me, certainly.
And it seems to work well with the board's schedule, actually, since you've got like a gap of like a month there and kind of mid-late May, so which is
Great. All right, next up, continued public hearing, annual town meeting 2026 zoning article, the proposed battery energy storage systems or BESS zoning bylaw. We, on the advice of council, we are going to allow for very short public comments, and then we're going to vote without deliberation. Before we do that, I would like to go ahead and update the board on a couple things. The finance committee voted 5-2 against this. The select board is waiting for a recommendation tonight. We did check in with somebody had asked about indefinitely postponing this, and we did check in with the town manager, and there aren't currently any plans for a special town meeting this year. That's not to say that there wouldn't be, because there was last year. But we have had some input from a number of citizens along the way, including our guest here on the screen, Mr. Jim Lampert.
Can you hear me as a matter of interest? I can't tell on this screen.
Yes, you're coming in loud and clear.
Good. But no, wait, I'm not getting the red and blue marks.
So we'll go ahead and open it up to the public. Is there anybody here from the public that has any questions about this or any public comment they'd like to make? Yes.
Don't want to go first.
I'm not involved in this. I think it's just you. Yes.
Okay, well, thank you. I just want to give you, I only have a couple of copies, so I'll give one to the chair.
Sure.
And
If I may, through the chair, if she could just introduce herself with her address, please.
I'll get there. Thank you. I know. Maybe we could share later, but yes, I'm Ann Malowitz, my husband Peter, and I live on Lincoln Street, Duxbury. We've been residents for 35 years here, and the reason I'm particularly concerned with this is past 40 years I've worked in the environmental field for Mass DEP. And when I saw the map and the proposed bylaws, I said I thought I'd look them over, because one of my roles at Mass DEP was doing secondary review, writing documents for safety. I did 18 years in emergency response as well for Mass DEP, and hazardous waste. And my master's is in hazardous waste management. So this is kind of my cup of tea. So I reviewed them, and I know there's some need to get something on paper in front of the town. But my concern is we put something out there that isn't complete. There's going to be a lot of holes. There'll be a lot of drain on the citizens, as well as financially the town, and most importantly, the fire chief and his staff. So I went through the bylaws really quickly for you folks, and I put my comments together in the capacity of safety, community input for abutters, financial, as well as welfare issues such as the trees. Some big issues that I have, and you'll see, is that the fire chief in these bylaws, it's a presumptive approval. So if he doesn't comment, then it moves on. And I think when the bylaws are written, the fire chief, police chief, and the board of health, of course, and you folks, if you want to, weigh in and approve what the best is going to be. So that was skipped over, glazed over in the bylaws. Also the noise level, for example, the noise level was set at a decimeter that would be sort of having equivalent to have a refrigerator at your property line, like 24/7, and perhaps higher. So I'm thinking that's probably not very comfortable for anyone who might have a best in their backyard. The best doesn't go into how many batteries are permitted on a property, so we don't know how large a field would be, its capacity. I know in some towns, such as Ware, they have a tier approach. So tier 1, 2, and 3 have different restrictions or added security or protection. And the emergency operation plan very quickly says they can notify the fire department. And that, to me, if there's an emergency or fire or something, it should say they will contact the fire department. So going on, I'm going to be brief, but community input, for example, abutters. If, I spoke with some of my colleagues who, are environmental scientists and represented Mass DEP for many years, many retired. And I said, hey, how does this sound to you? The best being in a residential area. And they're like, we never thought that would even ever happen. Because we always think, why not industrial? It's a good fit. So I just want to convey that. It's just not me. I kind of reached out to others who have this, environmental background. There's also no condition in the bylaws of how it's shut down. If there's a concern, a fire permit issue, who would shut it down? There's nothing in the bylaws. Regarding, let's skip over to just general welfare. If you read the way the welfare for deforestation And it indicates that if the land on month 13 was, the trees were cut down, okay, and the permit went in the next month, no remediation would be needed. So that to me was a little uncomfortable. It should be more adapted to our environment and taking care of, you know, our welfare is in the capacity of trees. So I made a change there. Finally, I think one of the biggest thing is the decommissioning and how the funds go. In my capacity, in my job, I decommissioned the water nuclear reactor. And so it was very interesting when things go awry, what are wrong, is that no one really steps forward and everybody has a shield, you know, who's responsible, as you know. So I looked at the decommissioning funds, and in the bylaws that we have right now, they don't indicate at a minimum how much money should be put aside for that. And there should be at least a minimum amount of bond money specified. Also proof of liability insurance. It should not be really resting on the property owner, but I think the applicant of the permit. Because a lot of property owners, good old folks, you know, taking advantage in that capacity. And then the owner of the best, how financially, how much financial background can they really do this best? And you don't want it to, you know, go halfway and then all of a sudden you have an issue. So that's the big scheme of what I reviewed. So I would like to see, from my professional background, I know if I was writing these for the state, it would have a secondary review, we would have an opportunity to strengthen them, because I know it's modeled after another, our community might be similar to us, but it's not Duxbury. And, you know, everything here is really precious. That's why we're here. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. This is really helpful. Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate that. Mr. Lampert, would you care to comment?
Just very, very briefly, I'm basically here to listen. You've received my thoughts. I hope you've had a chance to consider them. As you know, I oppose this bylaw for two fundamental reasons. I think it's fundamentally unfair to those in the business and plan development districts to tell them that they have to carry the risk and burden for the entire town. I'm also fundamentally concerned that this prohibition that is in the bylaw as it now stands provides absolutely zero protection to anybody living in 90% of the town. You've heard what I have to say. I'm not going to take a lot of time repeating it. I'll just listen.
Thank you, Jim. Is there anybody else who has any comments? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to be married to this woman here.
Would you mind identifying yourself?
Yes, Peter Malowitz,
So what's your address?
610 Lincoln Street, Duxbury, yeah. Having been married for 47 years and her being involved with DEP in the state, there's nobody who has more concern about the safety of people. The cleanups she's done, the projects she's worked on, the emergency calls she has received from the state police in regards to everything in this state, you need to listen to her. All right, I'm a contractor over 40+ years. All right. And I've been to enough planning boards, zoning boards, selectmen meetings over the years to know that you need to do your job. All right. You just can't rubber stamp stuff through because somebody says you have to do that. Do your job, do your research, and understand what you're pushing through. This is wrong. On so many levels, it's wrong. You know, this is a town that we don't even have a franchise in this town. You can't go to McDonald's here. You can't go to Burger King. You know, there was a project at one point in time at the end of our street. Somebody wanted to put a variety store. Oh, no way in hell could you do that. You guys put it, whoever the members were at that time, put an end to that pretty quick. You can't do that. And you're asking people, anybody out here who's thinking about making money because they can put these battery things in their backyard. They don't understand what they're gonna do to the environment. Lithium is a real problem, whether you like it or not. That's gonna be a real major problem going forward into the future, and it's gonna have a major impact. Cleanups are gonna be a disaster. Listen to what she had to say, read what she gave you, and understand what your job is. It's to protect. That's what the planning is, protect this community. Otherwise, you might as well change that sign out on Route 3 saying, welcome to Duxbury, or entering Duxbury. You're gonna change the name of this town to something that you're not gonna look like at all. Protect it. Protect what we live for here. Do your job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All right, so I will entertain a motion. I think we basically have, I think Matthew, when your director's report, you said that we had three options. One was to accept the bylaws as, one would be to reject it, and then the third would be to indefinitely postpone it. I think actually we can't, Rainey said something about we can't actually reject our own bylaw. We just don't vote for it. We indefinitely postpone it. So I think we just have two options.
I think you could vote to oppose it, but it would certainly be unusual since it did come from the planning board. But I think legally you could. But yeah, I think those are basically the three options. And as you say, it wouldn't make much sense to vote to oppose it. But yeah, I mean, to vote to accept it would be more like really a vote. I mean, the vote is for the purposes of kind of the recommendation for town meeting. So it would be more like a vote to support its passage at town meeting, so to speak, or vote in favor of it passing at town meeting, or to vote to be opposed to its passing, or a vote to propose that it be indefinitely postponed at town meeting. And I think as far as if the board does decide to propose to IP it or indefinitely postpone it, either way, it's whatever the three choices are, it's just a recommendation. Of course, it's town meeting that gets to actually make the decision because it's on the warrant. So it's the vote of the town meeting, but certainly whatever the planning board, votes will probably have some sway at town meeting, or it has an impact since it is the planning board.
All right, so with that, what's the best way to do? Do we vote to accept it? Do we have a motion to accept it? Do we vote to have accept it? If it's a yes, then we accept it. If it's a no, then we would go to talk about an indefinite
Make a motion to do one of the three choices, and then the board decides. The board votes on that motion. So let me start, and I make a motion to indefinitely postpone the battery energy storage system zoning bylaw article.
Jen, hold that. I think we need to vote to close the hearing first.
I think you can do it after.
Can we do it after?
I don't know.
After? Okay, all right, so go ahead. So Jen has a motion on the floor to indefinitely postpone this.
Indefinitely postpone.
I would second that.
We won't have any discussion, so we'll just call for a roll call vote, starting with Jen.
Turcotte, aye.
Matthew Ray, aye.
That's right, aye. Kristen Rapp, aye.
Steve Gant, aye.
All right, so we will indefinitely postpone this. Now I guess we would have a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We won't have any discussion, so we'll just go right to a vote, starting with Jen.
Jen Turcotte, aye.
Matthew Ray, aye.
Lauren Saray, aye. Kristen Rapp, aye.
Steve Gant, aye.
All right, thank you, everyone. We will take this up again.
Let me thank you. I'm going to leave you now.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, so next up, recommendation, for town meeting, for annual town meeting 2026 is a proposed new historic district. Do we have somebody from the historic district? Yes.
Yes.
Good to see you.
Evelyn Walker, 324 Queen Street, which is the Kingsbrook Local Historic Museum. Now, the local historic district commission recommends that we expand the Powder Point Historic District to include the Critchen House. That's presently owned by the Kellerhurst. And we're very grateful to them for considering this. It's a one-of-a-kind home, a wonderful old summer house. It's a craftsman style combined with Queen Anne architecture with porches and a balcony and a widow's walk. It's got everything. It was built on Frederick B. Knapp's land, that Point End district that he created from the 1890s. And sold to Almeretta and Eunice Critch of Watertown. So it not only is wonderful architecture, it represents the comeback of Duxbury after the shipbuilding era. Things sort of went down, and then the railroad came in, and people discovered Duxbury as a great place to live and to spend the summer with their summer houses or their boarding homes, boarding houses and tea houses. So I also want to mention that, as you all know, that waterfront property and near waterfront property is in dire straits with so many tear downs. Next door to this house, it was the 18th century cape that was just torn down recently. So I think it's very important to have these local historic districts. Is the only way to protect our town from these demolitions that happen. Let's see what else. I think that's what I want to say. That there is that misconception that day boarding and National Register districts preserve homes in some way, but they don't. They don't have any legal bearing. So highly recommend this. And I also want to thank Emily for her help with the maps. We couldn't do these preliminary study reports without her help. So we're very grateful. Don't you have any questions about this? You can read the report first online. If you haven't seen it,
We haven't.
Okay.
So I want to thank you tonight for coming. I know that we've come a couple times, and last year there was some question. I know that the group had put something at town meeting to actually preserve, to add the town hall into the historic district, and that didn't work out. However, this seems like a really excellent, an excellent example of what
We have not heard from Kristen.
Oh, I got a request to forward load.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, that was distraction. So thank you very much for coming back. I do have a couple questions. Is this the house that was actually expanded in the last few years?
It was lifted up and a new basement put in. That's what I know about that. There's probably a little bit of an addition in the back. I don't know to what extent.
Because I thought there was a house, and it's about the same location. I couldn't remember, but I thought that it was actually, they added a room and a porch. And so, if it's the same house, I thought it was interesting because the whole point of this is that there can't be any building alterations. So if a building alteration happened, is it still like a true representation?
Right. And I think that's right. I think they took a porch and it turned it into a room. Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that we need to remember, that local historic districts, we do not want a museum. You know, we don't want Sturbridge Village here. We want people to enjoy their homes and to make appropriate changes. So I think that was a good example of appropriate changes.
Okay, all right, thank you. I appreciate that clarification. Anybody have any questions? So what is it that we can do for you today? Are you looking for like an endorsement,
Yes, a recommendation that the town vote is in favor of including this.
Okay, and I understand it's been that FinCom and this finance committee and select board have both unanimously voted to recommend this?
I have not heard. I wasn't able to go to the FinCom meeting. I had a conflict and, select board. I'm not sure what happened with the storm and all. I really don't know.
Right, okay, okay. Kathy, do you have any intel on that? Or did I make that, did I pull that out of thin air? I thought that I read that somewhere.
No, I don't know anything about it.
Oh, okay, I think
Yeah.
I misunderstood,
Yeah.
okay, sorry, I had some.
I hope.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I think from the, I think I saw it, I think it was in the warrant, maybe, the current version of the warrant, I think. If I remember correctly, it said that they both the select board and FinCom voted unanimously in favor, I believe.
That's good news. Thank you.
I have one question, so, because this property has, the house in the front and then there's a matching barn.
Yes,
Back.
yes, and that's included.
Yeah,
I
it's
should have
also,
said that.
it's part of the.
Yeah, it's a delightful piece.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion to recommend this, recommend this property to become part of the local historic district, Powder Point Local Historic District at town meeting.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, we'll start with Jen for roll call vote.
Jen Turcott, aye.
Matthew Ray, aye.
Kristen Rapp, aye.
Steve Gant, aye.
Motion passes. Thank you so
Okay,
much
thanks so
for all
much.
that you do and all the work that you do. We really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you. All right, next up, discussion with McFarland Farms Home HOA. Just to discuss the remaining performance security funds and unfinished work. I'm gonna guess that's you too? Okay.
John Walden, Jensen Zagali is one of the homeowners. Sure. Two farm. Yeah, two farm. So we were here, Jen wasn't, but I was here with the husband, the two other homeowners at the time. On October 30th, 2023, I think some of you were on the board. I know Jennifer certainly wasn't. So I have the minutes in front of me, and we discussed one of the problems, as it turned out, and I think Amy Questle was reviewing. I have a letter here. Here it is, right here. So it was about the bond, the surety. So I managed to take and I sent it to Matthew. My attorney wrote up an assignment to release the surety. And I got the developer to sign it to release it to the HOA.
Oh, you did do that? And when
I
was
did.
that?
That was on January. He signed it January 16th of this year.
Of this year? And Emily or Matthew, have you had a chance to look at that yet?
I saw the draft. Since I'm not a lawyer, I'm not really qualified to judge it. I believe the HOA hasn't signed off on it at this point.
Yeah, she's got it signed off.
Okay, so, because I don't think we don't have a copy of that yet, correct?
Well, it wasn't a draft. I sent you what he signed.
Yeah, I guess
No,
that's
no.
true. Yeah.
And I have.
But I think what you sent me wasn't signed by the HOA yet.
That's right. So it is signed, but regardless, the most important part was they're obviously in favor of this thing, so they haven't signed. But the biggest problem was having him sign it.
Yes. Well,
So we signed an order.
thank you for that, because I know that was many years and many attempts, Emily, like emailing, calling, certified mail. So thank you for getting that. That's.
I managed to somehow get an email address, and he was actually out of the country, and he immediately responded and said,
Right.
we had a pretty good relationship. And he said, send it to me and I'll do it.
Great,
So,
thank you.
All right, so
So, well, excuse me, so my question is, since we haven't seen the letter, what exactly does it say? What did?
yeah, what it says is, why don't you want me to give you this?
Sure.
Okay. I thought that Matthew would have printed it out, so, yeah, give him a sign. Give him a sign. I would have made copies. I need to know this.
I know this has been going on for a long time. So we just want to make sure that doing everything we're.
Yeah, would like to get our money because we paid an extreme excess of what we're actually wanting to at least get back. Don, what was it, a 13,000 differential? What we actually paid?
Yeah, plus what I paid if you were one of those.
Yeah.
And so,
So the developer assigns and releases to the HOA all of its rights and interest in the remaining surety held by the town of Duxbury. Developer requests the board to release the surety to the HOA. The developer agrees to execute any forms as needed. Upon its receipt of the surety, the HOA agrees to release the developer. So basically, the developer is authorizing the town to give the HOA the money, correct?
that's
Okay. All right, it would probably make sense, Matthew, to have Amy look at this.
oh, positive.
Yeah, to make sure everything is, okay, does anybody want to take a look at this?
No, is there an acknowledgement from the surety company on it? Sorry, that's.
I told you. Yeah.
So I will make copies and I'll give them to Emily.
Give us just a second.
Yeah, so my concern is that I'm not sure, based on, the advice back in, I guess maybe it was 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. That we got then, obviously that was before I was here, but still from what I've seen, it's not clear to me if town council is gonna state that we actually can
Do this.
release the funds to the HOA. So they're just kind of the legal complications.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see.
Well, I can assure you that Jonathan Silverstein, who worked for KP Law for 26 years and has dealt with Danny many times, I'm sure they can figure it out. And
I don't think it's.
and I mean, for starters, I'll wait until she finishes. Sorry. Here's the question. Does this make any sense to anybody? What good is a bond if you can't take the money because the person isn't gonna take and do anything? And then I see someplace, well, we talked about town manager Rainey Reed said it could go into the general fund. Well, my attorney said that's never gonna happen because they can't do that. So the point is, that's the bond situation. So that obviously doesn't work the way it's supposed to. Something's not right. I never knew that. I mean, I put up plenty of sureties on subdivisions and so forth that I've done, and I always thought that was the case. And then the other thing is, now that you get a release, I mean, we could go to court too, not to sue the town. We could go to court and say, and sue the developer. And because he doesn't show up, he would default. And so we'd be right back in the same situation again. So the point here is, unless Amy says, no, you can't do this, she needs to come up with some way to do it because the money just can't stay there forever.
Of course not. No, that's why we'll have her review it.
Yeah, exactly.
And provide us, I know that she had a couple steps that she was recommending, and it sounds like you're able to combine a couple, maybe skip a step or two.
Yeah, well, the other thing is, and when we did the minute, when we talked the last time, I have the minutes here. The minutes say, Mr. Baldwin suggested the homeowners perform the remaining work, except the as-built plans and the bounds to save money, blah, blah, blah. The board agreed that no as-built plan or bounds will not prevent the homes from being sold or affect the resale value, but will likely not be able to petition the town for acceptance as the public way. Well, there's a covenant on the property, for starters. The road as built is shown on, as road A on the accepted plans that the planning board signed off on. On the plan shall be named McFarland Farm Lane and shall remain in as a private way in perpetuity. So you can't go to town meeting and with an article to accept the public way. Because that's not gonna happen. So that's the point. And the other thing is, as far as an as-built, and I did, I sent Emily 5 PDFs, 3 of which were the as-bills for each lot, 1, 2, and 3. So basically, it's like a puzzle. You get those 3 lots, there's 3 as-bills on there, in the road's in the middle. So there is an as-built done of the whole property with needs and bounds, yeah. So that's the lot 3. And you can see the 1 and 2. And that happens to be that's probably So it was the first PDF and the fourth and fifth PDF is the, and there they are. So, and then the other thing that was on there that, Pat Brennan, the peer review engineer for the developer, was the pavement that was done. He said a stop line, so, I mean, there's a stop sign there, there's no white line going across the road in the bounds. In the as-built. Well, I mean, they've already, these people are basically stuck in the middle here. And they're not gonna spend any more money to go through that whole process. I mean, that's great.
Understood. I think we're very grateful to you for getting us to this point. This is huge. It's been multiple years. So I think the next step is for us is for our planning director to work with Amy. And then perhaps we could chat about this again in our next meeting. Hopefully we'll be able to get some answers from her. In the meantime, maybe Matthew can communicate directly with you and keep us apprised of what's going on. And then if there's anything that we need to know, then we can put this on the agenda for next week. So we want to get this resolved as soon as possible, now that we have this missing puzzle piece.
Yeah, so she thinks that's a copy, so if you.
I was gonna ask you if you have an original.
Yeah, my husband's unfortunately out of town and that's what he provided me with.
Well, that's good, as long as you have the original, at least Matthew.
Yeah, I think a copy is fine for
Yeah.
our records.
Yeah, make a copy and he can send that to Amy, but maybe if we'd have to get filed anywhere, they would need the original, I would expect.
Yeah, we would definitely like to get it resolved. We moved in what was it, John, 2015?
Yeah,
We just, as a collective group, the three houses just expended more than $23,000.
Yeah.
For the pavement, to get that completed because it was starting to actually break up the sub layer, and for safety and for, just the value of the property. It's just taking a lot of time. I would say my husband more than myself, and John. So we just like to get back what's not even the amount that's owed to us really yet, but let's get this resolved.
Totally understood, understood. So do you want to be in touch with John? Do you want to be in touch with Matthew on this?
yeah, he's been sending me emails.
Okay, great.
So he has my email
Matthew, can you
address.
just keep us apprised?
Yeah, I mean, and I've talked with Eric Segali, your husband.
My
So,
husband.
yeah, so I'm in touch with him as well. And obviously he's part of the HOA. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's a bit of a busy time with town meeting coming up, but I'll get in touch with Amy and we'll make this a priority. And I would think either March 23rd or early April, we should be able to.
So if you could just tell her that Jonathan Silverstein did it, she'll know. He's the one who did the sharing. He's the one who wrote the sharing, but Bob's this side.
You mean he's the one who created this?
He's the one who created. He's my
This-
attorney.
This contract?
That's
Or this 2-page?
And she knows him.
Is he a attorney of Cape Fear Law? Yeah.
No, he used to be. He was
Okay.
there for 26 years.
Okay. So that's Jonathan Silverstein?
That's correct.
All right, well, thank you both for coming. Really appreciate you.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you.
thanks. Looking forward to
Yeah,
the resolution,
yeah,
at least
same.
getting some of the money back.
Yeah, same.
Oh, actually, can I ask one?
Please.
Is there any work on the property or with the project that still remains to be done or that you'd like to be done? Like, I mean, obviously you said you spent like whatever, $20,000+ paving the road and so forth, but is there any remaining?
No, I did the rest of the work, so the road is 17 feet wide and it's a 50-foot layout, so I did all the loam and seed. Which is quite a bit because it goes back a long distance, I don't know, it's 300 feet, whatever. And then I did there's 2 rain gardens, so I did finished up whatever needed to be done that, and as far as that went, and then the road started to deteriorate, and so I took it, had my paver come over and take a patch and so forth. So it is what it is. Plus, I spent a considerable amount of money just dealing with legal fees.
Yeah.
In time. I don't know the time, but anyway, I really appreciate it.
Okay.
So hopefully this will work. And if not, then, I mean, it has to be a way. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Now maybe we'll leave it to Amy.
Yeah.
She's very pragmatic and helpful on these things.
Yeah, good.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Have a good evening. You too. Next up is to discuss the zoning bylaw recodification, but I noticed that there is somebody, is there are there any questions from anybody online? Marie? Hi, do you have any questions of us? Oh, she's on mute.
Doesn't matter.
No questions.
Thank you for joining. Okay, so next up is zoning bylaw recodification. So, this is a big nut, as you recall, this been 15 years in the making, and the recodification group came and they had a very detailed, extensive product. And we kind of said, how are we going to stand up and explain this at town meeting? So Matthew and I met with the consultants, and they're actually going to, now that we've actually added, there was some confusion, there was some uncertainty over which bylaw they were reviewing needed to be reviewed. So they've gone back and taken our current bylaw, which now includes the ADU and MBTA. And they're going to recodify that. So that's just restructure it. And then they'll be able to use a lot of the same information, a lot of the questions that the planning board previously had answered. So the hope is that we'll be able to have a couple different steps that we can ask the town to approve before we finalize this.
Yeah, and so I've told them to hold off and actually starting that process because, just to be sure that the whole planning board actually makes that decision. So at this point, Deb, I forget how to pronounce her last name, but Tuzinski is still waiting to hear back from us. Yeah, I mean, I guess sort of on theory of just want to make sure, because every time, of course, there's one of these things, a new change order and so on. So I just want to be 100% sure everybody's on board and we know exactly what we're doing. But yeah, I mean, I think that's basically it's as Kristen described it, that we did talk with Deb, and I think now we've kind of got a better sense of the task ahead of us. I guess one thing I would mention, when I talked with the select board, it might have been about 2 months ago at this point, about I forget if I was even, I guess at the time I was there to fill them in on like the 3 or 4 possible zoning bylaw amendments we were discussing at that time. And one thing that one or two of the select board members were kind of emphatic about was that and again, this is not the whole select board, but definitely one or two of these select board members were emphatic that in their opinion, a recodification should only be a recodification. It shouldn't contain any substantive changes to the zoning bylaws in terms of changing definitions or really changing any of the language, with the exception of standardizing phrases or correcting typographical errors, and of course, reformatting, renumbering, but only that. And so I guess the implication is that anything beyond, I mean, we can certainly propose anything beyond that, but it should be maybe separate. It should be like separate warrant articles and separate proposals. But as far as the concept of recodification itself, it should only be that. And I think also I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind, is that at least there are at least a few, at least 1 or 2, maybe more members of select board who feel that way. And I think, at town meetings, some people might feel that way too. And I guess also just kind of say more along those lines more broadly, I think I've kind of, discovered in the past few months that there's a big benefit to consulting with the select board, early in the process for any zoning bylaw change. So it's just something to really keep in mind too.
So Matthew, what do you need from the planning board to pull the trigger on making sure that Deb gets going? Because when we talked to her last, she thought it would take her 3 months, and so I anticipated that she would be finished by the end of May.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what she told us. So I'm a little worried about the timing. So what do you need from us to?
I guess maybe a vote to make sure everybody's I don't know if it has to be a formal vote, but it probably should be. Just to make sure everybody's on the same page and understanding what it is that that general code, that Duxbury general code is actually going to do. I think it's clear that she's going to take our current zoning bylaws, and that's going to be the starting point for what she puts in the system. So I think the board just needs to either now or soon just needs to decide exactly what they want to do with this recodification.
Please.
So, yeah, that's really well stated, and it's the distinction between recodification, which has only structural changes, as versus correcting error, this error, that's but even the term standardized language has implications. Because we live in our own tiny little bubble. And the rest of the world, it moves along, and we're here in the past. So we use the word as our way, and standard way might be the same word, it may mean something else. So I want to be very careful about that standardization.
Yeah, from my
So I
discussions with Deb, I think that won't be a problem. She's very aware of that stuff. And it would only be a few things like if in different places I could select, Board of Selectmen, Select Board, like to fix those, and also, I guess, from Mass General Law, like, if we say MGL, she might spell it out. It really limits things. So I think that, because I can totally hear what you're saying. We want to be very careful.
I think the lesson I took from our experience of the last few months is that we didn't really begin with the end in mind. The end is presenting something for town meeting to consider. Clearly, the work product wasn't compatible with that goal. So I want to make sure whatever charge you or the planning board or the planning department gives the consultant, everybody's crystal clear about exactly what we're going to get at.
Yeah.
And so, as I suggested, I spoke to you about this, I spoke to Kristen about it. I see it as a series of increments. I think the software person, and the first increment is the clean recodification. And there are increments beyond that we also need to address.
Yeah.
And I know the consultant was trying to do that as a matter of efficiency, like we're in it now, fix all this stuff. And that makes sense from a hands-on perspective, I get that. But in terms of packaging it for digestion by the town, that's where, you just said, if there's a fundamental problem, we should address the one thing, one art. Like, here, this is the problem, this is how we're gonna fix it. These 10 changes, fix this problem. That's one piece. The problem we run into, of course, is you can't do more than one of those at a time meeting. You can, but they have to be stacked perfectly. Like if you pass A, you can do B. Pass B, you can do C. But if you don't pass C, you can't do D and you can't do E. So, I feel that can be done. I'm used to that kind of stuff. Town meeting doesn't know.
It's hard to explain.
Well, do you think it would tag before the general code goes much further? Do you think it would be helpful if a couple of us met to say, like, this is our approach? These are the 7 steps or 7 articles, or we want to come out of. So you're talking about, here's where we want to get. Can you help us get? Here's where we want to be. Can you help us get there? Because you're saying you start with the end in mind.
Yeah, I think we just defined it.
Just define it specifically.
Article 1, recodification, section headings, ordering, full stop. Article 2, definitions.
Yeah.
Tackle that next. The use table seemed to be a big thing that we really wanted to get in there.
Yeah, because some of these other things, like the use table, like a lot of things, they could be really good ideas. So it's not as though Deb or I are saying don't do them. They could. I think some of the things that the task force or we sort of came up with were good ideas, good changes. It just makes sense. But really, from a logical point of view, they should be, as Tad was saying, they should really be separate warrant articles. They should be conceived as kind of separately. So at least we can go to town meeting and at least be pretty confident that the actual recodification itself will pass, because you'll be able to make the case to town meeting. We're not making any changes whatsoever. All this is, we're just correcting typos and standardizing verbiage and renumbering, reformatting so that it can go into general code, which seems like people would read is a good idea. And so then I think you've got of course, town meeting is always hard to predict, but at least you've got a pretty good chance of getting that 2/3 vote, because you can make a strong case. And then for the other things, You know, so those other things are not dependent, like those things that you can aim for and hope you get, but if you don't get them, you still, at least you know you've got the recodification. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'd say it might make sense to create a small working group of 2 or 3 people just to discuss it kind of quickly and make sure we're on the same page. I think that could be done pretty fast, because we want to get this to get general code started pretty soon.
I think that sounds like a good idea. Is there anybody besides Tag who would be interested in working on this? I'm happy to do it.
Yeah,
Tag one of me.
smaller.
Tag would be happy to do that.
I mean, really, we don't need a lot of people.
This will, yeah, that's totally.
Probably one conversation with itself.
Yeah, and it's oftentimes smaller is better because then you've got fewer cooks kind of messing in the kitchen. So.
What do you say, Fred? Are you interested, Steve?
I'll be happy to join.
The 3 of us can brainstorm on like like how often we want to meet. And we know where Matthew is, we know what his working hours are, so, okay, so I'm gonna do that. I think that'd be a great step forward. And I think one of the things that came up was, general code says that they are not a fan of all the definitions up front, but the working group was very firm that they really wanted those. And, but I think that Matthew suggested we get some feedback from the planning board, and my inclination is that they felt very strongly, they worked with it for a long time, leave that. You know, the one thing, if you recall, Amy Russell said, they also wanted anything that had a definition, they wanted it to be italicized within the text. And Amy said, don't do that, please.
Right.
So that one, it's like, even though the working group had said that that's what they wanted, she said, let's just not do that. So I would recommend that we follow those 2, but I would be happy to get input from anybody else.
As an attorney who reads zoning codes.
Yes.
As part of my everyday job, yeah, keep the definitions at the front and don't italicize.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I love that.
Please.
Thank you, Matt.
Most code books, you have definitions at the
Right, okay.
Yeah, because it's worse when read it and then I got to flip back to the back and.
Yeah.
Keep them at the front.
Fine, okay, great feedback.
So I'd just caution, if you want to move the definitions to the front, that shouldn't be part of the basic recodification. That should be one of the iterations.
Yeah, those steps, right.
Yeah.
And I think what came out was there are some definitions that are kind of standard, kind of like board of selectmen versus select board, right? Like that, I don't think we're gonna have any arguments over that, right? But there might be some other ones that were maybe next level, or might have some more substantive change. So there might be a couple different levels. Those might be a couple different, but we can talk more about that.
Yeah, and moving the definitions to the front, that is a substantive change because suddenly a definition that originally is intended just for one section now becomes applicable to the whole thing unless you put in some verbiage that says otherwise. And so, I mean, it could be a good idea. But I think you want that to be a different warrant article so that it doesn't get mixed up with the recodification itself, because it does become a substantive, it does make substantive things. And one thing Deb did caution in her experience, I guess she's been doing this for what, 20 or 30 years or so, that when you move definitions to the front, what happens then is every time towns change the zoning bylaws, they introduce like a new section. Well, even with this best, for example, like they introduce a new section which has its own definitions, then they forget to move them out to the front, and so she has to, general code has to deal with that and so forth. And then it turns out there's a problem where like there's a duplicate definition, and so like you've got 2 different contrasting definitions, which if it was for the section, it wouldn't be a problem, but now they're both in the front, and the problem. So it can get tricky in practice.
Yeah, it's a more drafting process. You define something, remember, put it in.
All right. It sounds like we're in agreement on the definition. That's something, right? We'd have to think about the definitions in the front, no italics. But remember, if we add a bylaw, I have to remove the definitions. Okay. Any other thoughts on recodification?
Do you have to vote on your subcommittee?
I think this would just be sort of an unofficial, I don't think we're required to make it an official working group with actual minutes of that. So it can just be, as long as it's only like Three, as long as it's only three select board. If it's four, then that's a totally different story. Like if it's three, it's okay. I mean, in practice, it may fluctuate because sometimes one person can't come, so they just be, so it'll just be a person. That'll be good.
Thank you. All right, next up is comprehensive plan implementation.
Yeah,
Talk
so,
about that or do we early meeting?
yeah, I mean, it depends how late you want to go, but I did include that thing. I mean, I thought it'd be good to at least give you guys an update.
Sure, that'd be great.
I've actually gotten, I can hear the enthusiasm.
Let's hear it.
I've actually gotten responses from about 9 or 10 different department heads and stuff at this point, you know, where I sent them the request to fill in the spreadsheet to update their implementation. So it's going pretty well. I'll have to kind of send out reminders to the others, probably wait till after town meeting. I ran out of time originally, so I was thinking to send those to you guys for this meeting, but I'll get them to you eventually. But basically, you know, they just kind of filled it in with updating, like for all those different action items or tasks, like where they stand now as of 2026. And of course, I think the first time they gave us the feedback was 2023 or something. So it's kind of interesting to see where they stand. And so at some point, you know, the planning board will need to kind of fill out its own. Obviously, if I'm asking all these other people, then the planning board should do it too. So the planning board or the planning department, whatever, will need to kind of fill out its thing. And the planning board's one, as you can see from what I sent, is the longest, probably the longest one of all of them. But of course, you guys are the ones who kind of created it, or maybe the plan, or maybe the people who did the comp plan created. So at this point, I just sent it to you guys as part of the meeting materials for this meeting, kind of just for you guys to be aware of it. You know, of course, if you want, you can get started on it right now, but more just for you guys to kind of be aware of it and start thinking about it. Maybe, you know, it's like, I don't know, 30 or 40, it's pretty lengthy, like 30 or 40 different action items, it's, you know, 10 pages or something. But yeah, just I guess kind of start thinking about it and take a look at it, and yeah, and hopefully in the next month or two, I'll get you know those spreadsheets back from almost all of the department heads and committee heads and stuff, chairs, and then I can just kind of start putting them into the master spreadsheet, and then we'll really have something to kind of look at and see where we stand, which will be interesting. Question about your feedback so far.
Any juicy comments? Most of the information is in the comments.
Yeah, the comments are definitely the best. You know, some people wrote pretty extensive comments, some people wrote short ones. I can't think of anything really juicy. You know, it didn't seem like there was anything that was highly critical of us, which is good. But yeah, the comments are really interesting because it gives one a sense of how all these different boards and departments and committees are progressing and what's going on. You know, things you wouldn't necessarily think about otherwise. It's good to kind of be forced to get those updates. Say, okay, here's what's happening with the cemetery. Here's what the agricultural commission is doing. Here's what the police department is doing, and so forth. I mean, it does kind of give one a bigger picture of the town. Kind of pulls you out of your silo. So it's nice.
Thank you for working on that. That's huge. Appreciate that.
Yeah, it's been I think it's been a good learning experience. Yeah. It's a gradual process, but I think eventually we'll be in a position that when the planning board can say, okay, kind of, you know, what's next, which of course is the whole objective, is to kind of figure out, because obviously you're not going to, you know, say, okay, we've got 400 action items, let's pursue them all. Like the challenge now is to kind of decide what to pursue and what do we learn from this, and kind of how do we want to think about the comp plan going forward. You know, what do we want to emphasize or prioritize, or what kind of interventions does the board or the department want to do in the future?
Thank you. All right, so Jen, I think this is your last planning board meeting, isn't it?
One more on the 23rd.
23rd.
Wind up on the.
Oh, that's right, because we have one more before the election. All right, well, I hope you'll join us then. We'll do a formal send off then. Thank you.
Every time we get a meeting, I'm like, I'm gonna be there in person. I'm gonna make it, and something inevitably comes up, and I just can't physically get there. So I apologize for that. And Matthew, I have not even met you in person, and you've been in your role for what, going on a year now?
I mean, it's been about 8 months, and I was gonna mention that, but then I figured I shouldn't, but yeah. I'd be happy to actually finally meet you face to face in person, so please, please come in person on March 23rd.
Do my best.
Goodbye.
All right, anybody have anything else? Not, I'll entertain a motion to. Second. All those in favor, any discussion, No. All right, do a roll call vote, starting with Jen.
Turcott, aye.
Matthew Ray, I.
Sorry, Kristen Rapp, aye.
Speak it,
All right, motion passes, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.